Hey, it's Aaron from GameEnthus.com, and today I'm taking a look at Space Dinos from Paodle Games. Space Dinos is a tile placement, die manipulation game for 1 to 4 players, ranges 7 and up, and plays in about 20 to 40 minutes. This is a prototype, and I do not have the solo solitaire mode components, but I can give you a nice overview of how the game works. Space Dinos design is courtesy of Kathi Sjostrom, and art courtesy of Cide. Did I mention this from Paodle Games? Did I mention that? If I did, then I'm repeating myself, but that's okay. Space Dinos. Dinos in space. Apparently, the backdrop is their dinosaurs left Earth because maybe it was inhospitable for a wide variety of reasons, and they've gone off into space and are collecting stardust and star bits to create constellations for, I guess ironically, everyone on Earth potentially to see. So they're out there exploring. I'm sitting here on Earth explaining. Let me get this box open and get to explaining. Okay, so we have a wide variety of components here. We have a pile of stardust bits. These are glow-in-the-dark stardust bits that came with this prototype copy. I'm not sure if the final version is going to come with the glow-in-the-dark ones, but these are equivalent. It's just that, these glow in the dark, so I put them out first. You can see the bind I'm in. You kind of have to. Here's 6 cards up here that comprise the scoring tracker. Every player will pick a dinosaur for to pick from. So there's these 2 here. And then there's also 6 for these dinos in the box. I'll just put these over here. Everybody's going to start off with 5 of their dino markers. And then 2 of them, 1 from each player, would use on the scoring tracker. As I said, this is a prototype, so there are no numbers on this scoring tracker, but I believe in the final version numbers will be on there. But essentially each star is 1. You also have 4 movement tokens. You have set phasers to fun. This one's going to let you put down 2 tiles in a turn. Only usually put down 1. Captain's log will allow you to remove 2 tiles that have been placed out, and you can add 1 from your hand. Mind meld will allow you to ask any player, starting with the player on your right, for a particular tile in terms of color or number, and I believe they're supposed to give it to you if they have it, and it will go all the way around to all the players to see if anyone has what you need. A tractor beam will allow you to swap any 2 tiles that have been placed out. It's also probably worth mentioning that you are building a 6x6 grid of tiles, so tractor beam allows you to swap the place of any 2. Including ones with dinos on them. However, for a captain's log, you cannot remove a tile that has a dinosaur already on it. And there are a total of 36 tiles. Each player will start off with 4. This is the glow-in-the-dark die that I'll be using to roll. So things you can do on your turn. So as I said before, the game is about getting as far as you can within this rather large constellation, earning the most points. So points are earned by the placement of your dino, in addition to if you happen to purchase any of the movement tokens and you haven't used them at the end of the game, those are worth a point, and any stardust bits are also worth a point. But the overwhelming majority of your points should come from how far you've gotten on the scoring tracker. Every turn is going to begin with you, at the very least, rolling this die. I rolled a 4. So I can place a tile equal to the number of pips on the die that I rolled. Before the game begins, it's a good idea to establish what the rules are. So the game scales pretty well too, in terms of the tile placement difficulty. If you wish to make the game the most challenging, having rules that limit multiple colors, multiples of the same color, multiples of the same number on rows and columns, makes it pretty challenging and sometimes frustrating in a fun way. Or you can just pick one. You can say, hey, you can have multiple colors in a row, but not the same number, or vice versa. You can also remove the movement tokens if you really want to make it difficult in terms of placement. I rolled a 4, so one thing I can do is I can place a tile down. So if I was adhering to the most stringent rules, I couldn't put this here because despite the fact that they're different colors, it sort of comes off on the camera. They are both 4. They both have 4 stars on them. So let's say I just had to put it here. That could be a turn. Another thing you can do is, like I said, you always roll the die. Somehow I rolled a 4 again. You can place a dino. However, I don't have a 4 here. I have 3, 5, 5, and a 1. The star bits. So the stardust bits come in handy in terms of die manipulation. If you roll a die, the pit value also specifies where you can place one of your dinos. Let's say I really want to get that dino out here. So I could give up one of my Stardust bits to essentially change this to a 5. Every Stardust bit that you put back into the general supply allows you to move the pit values up or down for each one. Another thing you do on your turn. Let's go back over here. Let's say player 1 really doesn't like any of these numbers. They're just like, I don't like these. They could get rid of any number of their tiles. Let's say they want to get rid of these 2. Get rid of these 2, put them back into the general supply, and then replenish. That could be their turn. Back over to player 2. Another action you can take. You can just take 2 Stardust bits as your turn. So say they just took 2, turn complete. And then the last thing you can do on your turn, I'll come back over to player 1, is you can purchase one of the movement tokens. They cost 4 star bits apiece. So if I give up 4, I could buy, let's say for example, set phasers to fun, which allows me to place 2 tiles on a turn instead of just 1. And once I've used it, it will just go back into the general supply and can be purchased, I guess more rented or borrowed. Well, I guess borrowing doesn't really require money. Renting it, I guess, be a better way of putting it. So those are all the actions you can take on your turn. In terms of replenishing your tiles, if you run out of tiles, you do not draw back up to 4 after every turn. You would wait until you had literally no tiles left, not including this. At the end of the turn that happens, you would draw back up to 4. If there are fewer than 4 tiles left in the draw deck, you just take 1 tile. As I said before, the game was about building a 6x6 grid. The game ends when the grid is complete or when no one can actually place any tiles into the grid. At that point, the game ends. You see where you are on the tracker. Probably see well before you get to the end of the game where you stand in terms of, are you really going to win this thing? Or will you be mocked and chided by your own children in your own home for losing? Excuse me. So let's talk about scoring. So let's say I put this one down and I rolled a 3. And I put this 3 here. Now, my dino was on a tile that is surrounded orthogonally. At that point, I can score it. Just for surrounding it, period, orthogonally, you get 2 points. But you get 3 points if you've surrounded it with 4 tiles that are either all different numbers or all different colors. As you can see in this example, you have 4, 4, 3, 5, but they're all different colors. So I will score 3 points for this one, in which case I would move on the tracker 1, 2, 3. This is a prototype, so I'm pretty confident that the final version, you won't have pieces that could potentially cover up more than 1 space on the scoring tracker. 2 points for doing it, period. 3 points if you happen to be surrounded orthogonally with different numbers or different colors. So you can score 4 points if you happen to be orthogonally surrounded by all different numbers and different colors. So you can see my dino is surrounded by all different numbers. So 1, 3, 4, 6, and they're all different colors. I will score 4 points. So be careful, because at some point you are kind of inevitably helping your opponent out. So let's say player 1 had their dino here and it's player 2's turn. I rolled a 6 and I really want to surround my dino, because that's going to get me 4 points in addition to another 8. I'll show you how. So I put that there. So now I'd score this one 4 because it's surrounded, but I also completed a row. Okay, per dino, you get 2 points for completing a row. So we both have 1 each, but you could have more than 1. So you could have 1 here. You just can't have dinos on the same tile, but they can be adjacent to each other. So this particular row has all different numbers and all different colors. So it would score 8 points. So I would score, if I put this here, I'd score 4 for surrounding this dino, and then another 8 because of the row it's on. However, my opponent would also score 8 points because they're on a completed row. So you have to be careful about helping yourself and also inadvertently helping your opponent. Keep in mind, the numbers do not have to be in order. It's just about them being there in the row. I just happen to have them in order just because it's easier for the example. So let's say I put this down to score. Now, I would still score 4 points for surrounding this dino because all different numbers, all different colors. But if I'm playing a game that allows for multiple colors in the same row, I've repeated yellow. So I would only get 4 points for for that row for every dino I had on it. So I'd score 4 for surrounding and another 4 for completing a row that has all different numbers but doesn't have all different colors. That's how scoring works. So like I said, at some point you are probably going to help your opponent, but you'd want to mitigate that as much as possible. So you're trying to be careful about how you surround and how you complete rows, because you don't want to help your opponent too much. Also, if you can see that a row is really developing well, you want to get that good roll so you can just naturally place one of your dinos onto a tile. And then once the row is complete, row or column, excuse me, is complete, you can score a lot of points. So that is a basic overview of how Space Dinos plays. So Space Dinos is a game that has enough flexibility for players who want a little bit more of a challenge, but it scales down nicely to players who maybe want something a little more casual, something a little more light, and having maybe a smaller grid, tweaking some of the tile placement rules. Don't let these dinos being spaced out fool you. The tile placement difficulty ranges from to clever girl. Space Dinos can be enjoyed by players of many skill levels. My family and I enjoyed it, and it is even Freeman approved. Anyway, thank you for watching. As of the making of this video, the Kickstarter is active, and the link is down below in the description. If you like space, if you like dinos, if you like the idea of dinos in space, creating constellations and tile placement and die manipulation, if that's your bag, if that's your thing, the link for the Kickstarter is down below in the description. Thank you for watching. Take care. Wear a mask. Stay safe. Be blessed.